on this point, it's helpful to contrast the modern Leviathan state with medieval society and politics, particularly during the feudal period before the triumph of the absolute monarchs. In feudal society, right, there were multiple overlapping jurisdictions and multiple overlapping powers, and none of them claimed final authority in society, or at least not with any success. So, right, the church had powers and privileges, the kings had powers and privileges. So did the Holy Roman Emperor and whatever representatives he had. So did the towns, so did the guilds, so did other institutions. Moreover, and this is important, no authority successfully claimed to be the one who interprets the limits of everyone else's authority. Right? So let's say that a court established by the king decided, here's the limits of the church's authorities, right? And as opposed to the king's authority, and made a ruling on that. Well, the church, representatives of the church would do one of several things. They might just laugh and say, yeah, nice try. Here we have a court that says the opposite. Right? Or they might protest. Right? And if they protested, the barons might rise up in revolt. Why? Because they were on the side of the church? Well, no, not necessarily. But because it would be considered very dangerous for the king to start saying, I get to decide unilaterally, or my institutions get to decide unilaterally what the limits of other people's authority are. Okay. So that's a big difference between medieval society and politics, right? And along with that, right, politics was seen as inherently complicated. That is, it wasn't just a relationship between a state and the individual, right? It was a complicated relation. People were seen not just as individuals, but as being inherently part of churches, towns, guilds, social classes, nobility or commoner, etc. Right? And all of that carried certain rights and privileges that couldn't be easily changed or taken away. Right? So the relationship between the people and the state was very different in medieval society in ways that made the state much less powerful than in a modern society. Right? And in some ways, conservatives are responding to what they see as dangers that come up with the rise of the modern Leviathan state.